Hello everyone, it's Pete and Grada here from the Purple House at 4th in Tassie.
Good to see you and thanks for sticking by us. We couldn't make it last night, but we're here tonight with some special information about your heart, how to keep your heart nice and healthy. Because some of the research that we've done shows that 1 in 4 people kind of dies, this is in America, from heart disease. And so I think that amounts to 600,000 people a year, something like that. And we want to share a little bit of information here with you that you probably won't get from the doctor surgery, or information that will protect you and that can actually reverse what's going on in your body. Because even if you are suffering from heart trouble due to like clogged arteries and so on, it can all be totally reversed.
And quite often, if you go to the doctor with heart problems and you show that you've got blocked arteries, they'll tell you to cut out the things that you really need.
Like
good fats and oils.
Yeah, so
you need an oil change, in other words.
That's what we want to talk about tonight. We want to tell you that your body needs an oil change, especially if we have people who watch this video, and if you eat margarines, or if you've been told to go on a low-fat diet and cut out all your fats and so on. And lots of people do that and they think that they're doing their body a favor, but actually you really accelerate any heart problems you might have, and you need to turn the steering wheel around and do the exact opposite. But before we go into that, Peter wants to tell a story about one of our mentors who started to suffer from heart disease when he was 50. This is a while ago, eh?
Yep.
It's probably 70 years ago.
No, it's about 52 years ago. He was a widower and he started suffering palpitations, heart problems. He went to a specialist, and that specialist, heart specialist, didn't know what was wrong with him. So he went to another one, and he also didn't know what was wrong with him, with his heart. So he decided that he knew as much as they did. And he actually had a microscope, and every time he got palpitations, he jumped up and had a look at his blood under the microscope.
Because he was a scientist, and actually he had palpitations at night, so he couldn't sleep, so he would get up and travel to his laboratory and have a look at his blood.
And every time he looked at his blood, the red cells were all stuck together. So he researched ways, or he found out ways of how to free up those red cells so they were not sticking anymore. Because normally they don't stick together if they've got a charge and they repel each other. So they're meant to be free floating, not sticking to one another.
Because it's like two magnets. If you've ever tried to push two magnets together, like say the positive poles or whatever, you know that it's literally impossible to do. They repel each other. And if our cells are healthy, if we are healthy, our red blood cells will do the same. They just bounce off each other happily all day long.
Anyway, he actually 2 years ago, he turned 100, that same guy. And all he does, and he teaches other people to do it now, is to keep those red cells nice and free from...
So give us the information.
So they flow, and the two main things that cause your cells to stick together is dehydration and proteins not being digested properly. And undigested proteins still go through from the intestine into the bloodstream, and they cause the cells to lose their charge and they start sticking together.
Yeah.
Anyway, there are other things. Aluminium is also one of the things that causes your red cells to stick together, because it's aluminium sulfate that they throw in sewage ponds to make the solids all clump together, and they scoop those off and they're left with water.
Yeah.
So
So aluminium is in your deodorants, people.
yeah. Any deodorant, make sure it's got 2 words written on it: aluminium free, because that aluminium's going straight into your bloodstream and causing your red cells to stick together, and that causes the blood to become like tomato sauce rather than red wine, the consistency of red wine. And if you think of your heart and your kidneys, they have a far greater job to do when pumping around tomato sauce than red wine. And the filters,
Or if it's pumping around tar.
yeah, and the kidneys and the liver are the filters. But if the kidneys have to work hard for an extended period of time filtering tomato sauce or thick blood, that's when blood pressures go up. So higher blood pressures is a sign of heart disease, coronary artery disease.
So you can quickly drop your blood pressures by drinking more water and keep drinking water. We had a client, an elderly gentleman, who had high blood pressure for a number of years actually. And we suggested magnesium, because magnesium is a great relaxer, a great restorer, and then
that relaxes the blood vessels as well.
That's right.
Blood vessels are 3 layers of muscles.
And bead flow, because that opens your blood vessels as well. And then of course he had to really support his body with water. So water is absolute key. But it still took a while. I think it took maybe 9 months to a year before his blood pressure normalized, but that's still pretty amazing because he was in his 70s.
I had a guy come to me, an old guy, he was about 87. He had a blood pressure of 220 on 120 when I took it. And I thought, oh, he really needs to go and see a doctor and get something to bring it down, otherwise he'll burst a blood vessel. But he was adamant he wasn't going anywhere near a doctor. So I said to him, you've got to drink water, 3 litres a day, consistently. Anyway, he did that for 3 months, and he come back to see me after 3 months, and his blood pressure was 165 on 95, which for an 87-year-old was pretty good. Mm-hmm. He was happy, and he went out the door. I said, you still got to drink water, because that's one of the main things that will keep your blood nice and thin, so the heart can pump it around nicely and the kidneys can filter it easily. And
then the other myth that people believe, that you have to go on a salt-free diet. So some of the worst things that people are told is like low fat and no salt, but actually you need Himalayan salt, or you need the healthy pink salt to give your cells an electrical charge, right? So
and the heart to have the right conduction of electricity, because people who die going on bushwalks, we've heard of people dying on the Kokoda Trail, or there was a chap here in the Dole Range in Tasmania died, and they blamed it on the fact that he was drinking too much water. But people don't drink too much water, they just don't have the minerals and trace minerals at the same time as their water.
Because your heart is a potassium-driven organ, so it needs potassium to keep ticking over, right?
Yep.
And your body needs sodium, and so on. There's lots more study behind it. But the old mentor who taught me about, he was one of our mentors, and he's still alive. He stressed that minerals are absolute key.
Yep.
And minerals, rather than you buy an expensive mineral solution, which you can do, you can go to the health food shop and spend like $60 on an expensive mineral solution. You're much, much better off just getting some Himalayan salt. So I'm just getting my little salt bowl again. So I always have little salt bowls everywhere, even have one on the side of my bedside cabinet. And you can just even put on your tongue and then swallow it with water, but it's of course easier to put it in your water.
Or on your food. Yep.
Yeah.
But also the thing about changing your fats, there's the Eskimos up in towards the
Alaska,
Arctic region, they didn't have heart disease until they started having an American-style diet, because they lived on fish and whale blubber. It was mainly fat, their diet. And our cells can make energy out of sugars or fats, and it's the sugars that do all the damage in our arteries.
And the polyunsaturated.
Polyunsaturated oils, the sugar of fruit, believe it or not, and sugars and high starch carbohydrates. They are the things that cause inflammation in our arteries and cause the problem of our arteries clogging up.
Yeah, and so the arteries stick together when you eat too much plant-based oil, as in polyunsaturated vegetable oils that you see in the supermarket shelf, like all those aisles full of plastic bottles with yellow-looking oil. That's like glue, like in your body that becomes glue. It's highly unnatural, especially like canola oil and the like. So
it's an oxidized oil.
Yeah.
Trans fat, in other words.
It was really originally grown for paint, like house paint and stuff, in the like 1950s and earlier. And then the paint was being made from petroleum, from oil, as in, anyway, you know what I mean. Oil. And so then the farmers were left with their plant oils, with their crops. So they pushed it onto the human market.
They sold them as a health food.
Yeah, and so...
Omega-3, 6 and 9.
And it was actually really evil, because I'm sure the researchers knew how bad it was, because they were already giving it to cattle, and the cattle grew fat really, really quick, which the farmers were happy about, because it suppresses your thyroid as well. So
especially soy.
That's right. So the cattle, so the cows and the pigs were off to the market a lot quicker. That saved the farmers a lot of money, but that was still not enough. Then they started to promote it to humans as a health food, and everything is cooked in it, like all your little biscuits, fast food.
Plus it's genetically modified as well.
It's pretty much in everything, and it's so damaging to the body. Plus it makes us fat, and sort of morbid fat that you can't really shake off. And then, of course, that creates disease, which is more money for the big pharmaceutical companies. So you can see how this is like an evil cycle that you need to break through. So
the other area in the world that has low heart disease is the Mediterranean area, and they drink olive oil like their wine. They cook everything in it and lather it on their food.
Well, we don't recommend you cooking it.
But they do, because it's a monounsaturated oil, so it can't be damaged very much by heating. But we suggest any runny oil to pour it on after you've cooked your food. Cook your food
eat it cold.
In either coconut oil or ghee.
Or butter.
Or butter, but ghee doesn't burn either, which that's clarified butter. But so coconut oil, meat fats, butter and cream, and the good runny oils are your monounsaturated oils. They're the ones that will give you good health.
Return you back to health, yeah.
And they'll unclog your arteries.
And it's good for your brain too, because along with heart disease, we also have an epidemic of Alzheimer, which is also really scary. There's so many scary things. So your brain is basically a bag of fats, unsaturated fats. And your brain needs so much fat, doesn't it, Pete?
Yep, and our brain also takes 25% of our energy, and our bodies get far better energy out of fats than sugars.
So the best fats, again, do you want to repeat that, Pete?
Butter and cream, coconut oil, meat fats, and
olive oil cold.
The monounsaturated oils are olive oil, macadamia nut oil, sesame seed oil, and peanut oil is mainly monounsaturated, and avocado oil is okay, but it does have some omega-3s in, which are polyunsaturated oils.
Yeah, and then
if you want fish oil, don't have the oil itself, but just eat small oily fish.
Yeah, that's right. Fish oil, capsules
Because
are often promoted for ADHD and so on, but we don't like to do that.
And people with arthritis often take fish oil capsules, but oil has been obtained out of the fish by a heat process, and it's become oxidized as soon as
That means it's been damaged.
It's been damaged, so it's not
safe. It's not safe.
It's a trans fat. It's an oxidized oil.
Yeah, so it's not doing your body any good.
Causing damage.
So anyway, look, I'll put the article in with the video so you can look at it, and then we also have this recipe that's good for your heart. That's like the Purple House smoothie, and that contains full cream yogurt, but not fruit yogurt or anything, because fruit yogurt has like absolute tablespoons, like the little packets people think is healthy, has a tablespoon of sugar in it. So just plain Greek yogurt, and we do tell you to mix flaxseed oil in with it, but you have to make sure that your flaxseed oil is bought from in a dark bottle from a cold fridge in the dark, and you have to check the use by date.
And then it needs to be blended with milk protein.
Yeah, with a blender, so not just with a fork. You have to beat the molecules together in a food processor, because that makes the oil water soluble, and it somehow blends with the proteins in the milk products, and it changes it.
Makes it an oxygen-rich substance that really feeds the cells.
And it restores your body. So that's like a secret recipe that was invented by a doctor called Dr. Joanna Bootwig, and she also lived something like 50 or 60 years ago. She was nominated for the Nobel Prize, but she didn't get it because she was curing everyone from cancer with that recipe, even when they were already on their last leg.
And just another story, we had an elderly client who was about to go on to dialysis due to kidney failure, and kidney and heart disease are exactly the same thing. They are your blood being too thick and not being able to filter it or pump it around as well as it should. Anyway, we suggested she go on beet flow, take beet flow to help the arteries and dilate a bit, and also help the liver and the kidneys get rid of waste. And she didn't have to go on dialysis.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That elderly lady, she was up in her 80s, but it saved her having to chuff off down to Burnie every 2 days to be on dialysis, which, is...
Yeah, so there's lots of things that you can do to keep your heart healthy, and especially now in the warm weather, make sure you have plenty to drink, but not with your meals, right? No. Have your water away from meals, like beforehand, and otherwise you kill your digestion.
So in the middle of winter, someone who's 90 kilograms requires 3 litres of water a day consistently to remain well hydrated. But in the summertime, or if they do a lot of exercise, they probably could do with up to 4, especially if they have a cup of coffee or 2.
Yeah, that's right.
It dehydrates.
And so that just reminds me of a client I had the other day. I think I already told you. But she said, Grada, what doesn't mean that when I lie down in bed or go to bed and my heart is just going like boom, boom, boom. I can feel it in my chest, and my head is also pounding. So I said, well, that means you're dehydrated.
The heart's having trouble pumping the blood around.
Get up immediately and just drink heaps of water, and have a jug of water on your bedside cabinet as well. And then it might take a few days actually to get into a really good habit. It's just like a plant that's dehydrated. The leaves don't really open up straight away, but actually our body responds to water much better than a plant.
Water on an empty stomach will be in your bloodstream within about 15 to 20 minutes. We've looked at people's blood under the microscope, and it's
very quickly
totally stuck together, all the red cells, and we've got them to drink a litre of water, and 20 minutes later it's nearly totally dispersed.
I know.
The red cells, which is amazing.
It is amazing, and it's actually we're cheating ourselves, because that means we can't sell people lots of products.
Well, I
Because there are lots of practitioners
Yeah.
out there who show people their blood when it's actually totally sticky like that, and then they say, oh, you need this and that, and sell people $1,000 worth of products when they really just need to increase their water
well,
intake.
if there is one product that people would like, I would recommend everyone take beet flow
Yeah,
to help in a lot of ways. It helps
everything.
especially the digestion of fats as well. It'll help that, but it'll assist the body in numerous ways.
And it helps people also to support weight loss and all the rest.
Yeah.
We've taken it for how long now? Since 2009, I think, when we discovered it.
Yeah.
And I think we're looking pretty healthy. And it helps me not to have shit on the liver as well.
And usually fellas, you can hear fellas first thing in the morning walking to the loo, they're farting like crazy. Well, you can ask Rada, she
No, you don't.
doesn't hear me.
No.
I hardly have any gas, because bloating with gas is your bile isn't flowing properly, and beet flow gets that bile to flow properly.
Yeah.
And that digests the fat, so you're getting really good energy out of the fats rather than sugars.
And it's also vitamin D, by the way. So yeah, it's,
In butter and cream, it's full of vitamin
yeah,
D.
because vitamin D is another thing that we don't
Promote.
it now. Because you get enough from the sunshine, you get enough in butter, and all the fat soluble vitamins, you need to be able to absorb them. That's why we also recommend beet flow.
Yep.
So, but I won't go into vitamin D because that's for another story. But put it in a nutshell, don't take any vitamin D tablets.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Hope you enjoy this, and come and see us if you need help. We booked out for a couple of weeks, but of course there's always more room in the diary. Come and see Peter if you need really extensive testing, if you want to find out how healthy your liver is, or your heart, or your kidneys, and if you need a complete overhaul or a car service, that's how you have to see it. Please book in with Pete, and I hope you have a really good week. Stay safe, and I guess we'll be doing our Facebook Live next Thursday. We're a little bit busy next week because our baby is getting married at the end of the week, which is exciting. But I think we'll do our Facebook Live at our normal time. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Have a good week.
Big love from Pete and me, and see you again soon.
Bye. Bye.